What's going on? Leave a comment. Who's watching? Hey guys, you guys here? Say something. Trying to figure out if this. Oh, why can't I see this live for you? There we go. All right. You guys here? Feel free to ask me any questions. Hey, Abby. Thank you. Wow. A female in the Marvin section, in the Marvin comment section. It's an Abby. You know, I looked at the stats. You guys are 2% of our YouTube following. So since I don't know, I'm not a mathematician, but I think we have about 13,000 followers. So it's rare. You rock. You rock for being here. If you guys have any questions, requests, let me know. Blame my husband for getting me into your music. Yeah, I do blame him. He has good taste. I've been trying to get my wife into my music for years. I need to ask your husband for tips. But my baby is into it. Can you play through Stella by Starlight and explain how to think of the chord progression? What's up, Dr. Smith? I sure can. Sure. So, Stella by Starlight. It has a shitload of chords, which makes it a little bit, I guess, confusing to think about. But the song is in B flat, right? That's the key it's in. So you got to think about the things that are happening there with relation to that B flat. So really, the first set of changes, this E half diminished go into A7, that's a 2-5, and if you know secondary dominance, it's the 5 of 3 in that key, right? Now, a lot of people think about that A7 as a substitute, really as like kind of a bar of 1 diminished, which is something you can do. So if you're just thinking about B flat, you can think about B flat fully diminished, and think about that over just like that, sort of like that A7 sound over that B flat root. And I think in the original score, that's really the chord. Right, because that sound of like a 5 of 3 usually would move to 3, but this doesn't. So you can play out it like just like a minor 2-5, like E Locrian to A, to some sort of like A altered, and that's a nice sound. Or you can just think about it like asymmetric diminished. Because the next set of changes is just a 2-5 in the key of B flat. So C Dorian, and then that F you can think about as also symmetric diminished. Then it goes to a 2-5 to the 4 chord. So F minor to B flat. So F Dorian. You can think about B flat diminished again. Half hold, that is. Resolving to E flat Lydian. That A flat 7 is A flat Lydian dominant. So it's like E flat melodic minor over A flat. Resolving to the 1 chord. So this is really the first time you get to 1 in that progression. So it's like, yeah, that. That sound right here. So playing lines just up to that point would sound something like. So from here it goes that same progression again, that 2-5, but now it's actually going to the 3 chord. It's a 2-5 to D minor. And then there's this weird thing where it's just kind of like a 2-5 to the flat 7, right? So like a B flat minor, E flat 7, then it resolves to F major. Some people would call that kind of like a backdoor 2-5-1 to F, to the key of F for a second. And then you have that E minor 7 flat 5A7 again. And now it's A minor 7 flat 5D7, kind of like a minor 2-5-1 or minor 2-5 to G. So that's a lot of information. But yeah, just lines through it. If I run through the scales I'm using, again from the top, it'll be like E Locrian, A altered, C Dorian, maybe F half hold diminished, F Dorian, B flat half hold diminished, E flat Lydian, A flat Lydian dominant, B flat Ionian, E Locrian, A altered, and now it's going to be like D Dorian. Even though it should be Phrygian in the key, when you do it minor 2-5-1, you tend to go to Dorian. Then B flat Dorian to E flat Mixolydian. And then F Ionian. Or even Lydian. Then E Locrian again. A altered. And then I would go A Locrian and then D altered. Now, on this, it's either G whole tone, some people play that. But I'd probably go altered to C Dorian, A flat Lydian dominant, to B flat Lydian. And then it's just a chain of 2 5s, like Locrian, altered, Locrian, altered, Locrian, altered, and then just Ionian. So I don't actually think about a lot of that stuff when I'm playing. That sort of needs to be built into your finger muscle memory, and with tunes that are so involved, like that's pretty much like as involved as a ballad gets in the jazz world. So if you're not so certain about your scales, that might not be your best go-to starting out. But yeah, I'll play a chorus just so you see how I think about playing stuff through it in the moment. Like, oh, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Jeff Beck version of Stella. Yeah, pretty much. Thank you, Abby. Okay, Kotzen, what is your alternative to the evil ear training? Perfect timing on my part. Woohoo. Hey, guys. Questions. This is the time for questions. Anything you want to know. If I did a lesson, something you didn't get, I'm here to help expand upon all that shit. So, Azel, what's going on? Can you please play that Jimmy Herring diminished lick slowly? I've been trying to get it. You played in your last video, diminished scale over C7. I don't know if it's a Jimmy Herring lick specifically, but when you're thinking about diminished, there's you got to be able to see some patterns that are moving through it. Something that's really helpful is understanding sort of how you can shit the bed with diminished. Sort of, there are certain moves in it that don't sound as good as other moves because you're always outlining something in the harmony. So especially when you're playing diminished over diminished chords, you can really hit some bad, ugly sounding notes and you don't want to do it. So an easy way to not do that is to use it a certain way descending. Ascending, it always sounds good. Like if I'm playing over a C7 and I go, all that sounds good. Descending, like especially over this kind of sound, like that might not be the sound you're going for in the context of moving harmony, but if you use this sound instead, so I'm using all the half steps in the scale ascending, then I'm really outlining, if I'm on the diminished, I'm outlining the chord tones as approach, by using approach notes. So instead of playing everything down, I'm going, and then I'm just spelling out that D flat diminished sound over D flat diminished. Or if I'm on the C7, then I'm spelling out the third, flatted 9, flatted 7, and fifth. So it works on both modes. And it's sort of the go-to for descending lines. Or you can do something else that outlines it. Sonny Stitt, the great bebop player, has this lick. So he's kind of going, using this bit of the scale down in minor thirds. But it's nice to do that maybe on 2 strings like this with a pull off. So that's a nice little sound. Very comfortable on the B and G string. But yeah, everybody kind of finds different treasures inside it. Something Holdsworth does a lot, which I really think is cool, is this pattern. So he takes half whole diminished, right? See? And he goes. Right? That's a pretty cool sound. Just sounds so wide and out there. So inside this. You can hear him play that lick in the song "The Drums Were Yellow" from 16 Men of Tane. He does that all the time there. What are some more tips for breaking out of academic consonant eighth notes rhythms? Also, can you show how to use the capo to play Wonderwall? I actually I do own a capo now because I overprinted the baby finger capo, and I have 2 extra. I haven't experimented with them yet, but I'm sure that they work. But I don't have it with me. So, yeah, with rhythmic diversity, first and foremost, it's about being able to generate rhythm in your brain as an improviser. Like, you need to have this internal creative engine that shoots out rhythms that are nice to hear, that work, that are functional. So, let me see if this is routing my drum machine. It is. Okay. let me know if you can hear this. Opening up a drum machine thing. Grooves. How about this? Can you hear this, guys? Yeah? No? Maybe? Yes? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Can you hear the drums? I think you can. So, let's say I'm playing over a thing like this. What am I doing, right? Like, what rhythms am I playing? When I start, maybe in my brain, before I start trying to think about a melody, I need to start thinking about what I can contribute to that thing that's going on. So, if I want to maybe ride that groove, maybe I'll start thinking about where the pulse is, or maybe feel it slower, right? And I'm probably not going to feel it in halftime. I'm going to feel it right here. And those 16th notes, right? So that's sort of for exciting fusion soloing, I have the intuition and the know-how to know that that's where most of my lines are going to sit, to just kind of communicate to you the story of this groove, right? So it's gonna maybe be like, something in that, that's the bulk of my playing. But what else do I have, right? To make a statement against that, I can have some maybe triplet. That kind of pops up. How about to shred over this? What do I do? You hear how this is a swung kind of 16th note? It's really coming, the way that those swung rhythms on the cymbal are happening, they're really kind of implying sextuplets. It's not what is that? That's 6 notes in one beat, right? Or like so maybe touching that subdivision, like between the 16th notes, the shreddy subdivision, and those triplets, I can really build a solo that's pretty varied. And then maybe just playing some slow stuff, right? Like playing some 8th notes. So just having this awareness of how different subdivisions affect the groove allow me to have choices. This is all, obviously, if you don't know your modes or something like that, you're not going to be able, you're going to be so caught up in finding the notes, you're not going to be able to think rhythmically. But now, between all this, I can kind of improvise freely, and I have a few different areas that I can, explore rhythmically. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The lick you were asking about. So yeah, that thing that so that's just a sextuplet lick. Okay, so the trick about that thing, let me kill this drum machine real quick. I hope that answers your questions about breaking out of the square rhythms. Um, did you study music? Yeah, I went to Berkeley. Don't go. It's horrible. So that sextuplet lick, that this has to do with picking and legato and mixing the two. The way I pick this pattern of 6. I'm picking on 3 of the 6 notes. I'm playing down, up, pull off, up, pull off, hammer on. So I'm going ta-dee-doo, 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 down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, right? That's the entire pattern with the right hand, and then everything else is filled up by legato notes. And then you can move it through major scales, right? Or symmetric diminished. If you're gonna play this lick, I really suggest that you get this angle because it's pinky and ring, and then this index finger. But that's just a pattern of 6. You can move it through any mode, through any scale, melodic minor stuff. What's so horrible about Berkeley? It's just fucking scam. It's like just people scamming people out of money, giving them no value. You sat down there with a bunch of people, cashing in their dreams of being like a rock star, and what they get instead is a lifetime of serfdom, waiting tables, and it's just horrible, man. It's horrible. A lot of these people should, in a perfect world, be in prison or worse. To expand on the ear training question, you said ear training is something to pursue, but you sound like someone who has a well-trained ear. No. You need to. I'm not saying that your ears aren't important and that developing your ears is not important. I'm saying that the way it's taught in academia is a bunch of nonsense that's very hard to translate directly into something that might be useful for you. I think if you sit and learn music, not from charts, just from albums, you will be sort of putting all the pieces that you would need in place for yourself in a way that's much deeper and much more beneficial for you, rather than sit there and do these approximations and, just sing solfege and do the actual stuff that they go through in a curriculum of 4 levels of ear training in a place like Berkeley. I think the way it's taught is horrendous. I think the melodies are completely arbitrary. They're not, they're just written by professors who sit there to write a book every couple of years. And, if you, let's say you really love Frank Sinatra or Charlie Parker, sit there with the albums and teach yourself how to play those songs in a few areas of the neck, maybe. Then teach yourself bits that you care about for the solo. Teach yourself the chord progression. You're going to have to find this. And on the way, you're going to find you're going to discover a lot of things about your instrument, about the holes in your knowledge. You're going to press these things and be like, I wonder what that is called. And that's going to send you on a sort of mission to find it. But everything's going to be music centric. If you go the other route, then you'll just have a bunch of exercises. And even if you get to a place after a long time practicing them, that you have success going, from do to fi and singing these sharp fours on command, they'll probably just, still whiz right by you in the heat of the moment or when you're listening to an album. So it's just about, if you care for music and you love certain types of music, you should maximize the time that you engage with the music you love directly and learn directly from the source. You don't need this filter, which is academic knowledge, a professor that chews it up for you and then vomits it into your mouth. Okay. Let's see. Can you give a shout out to Elijah? Hey, Elijah. Hey, newborn baby. How newborn is Elijah? I have a 15-month-old. She was a newborn yesterday, I swear. What do you think of Alan Hines? Have you ever met him? Do you like his music? He's been one of my favorites for a long time. I hate everything about him. No, I'm kidding. I actually play. I have the pedal he designed. I've used it on a lot of albums. It's a badass pedal with exotic. Forget what it's called right now. Remember what it's called, Nick? The Alan Hines pedal. We did the thing about it.
For Vertex?
Yeah, like the blue pedal.
Oh, the steel?
No. It's like the.
I don't remember. I can look it up.
Yeah, if you Google it. 4 weeks, Abby, and you're already watching YouTube videos? Man, good job. 4-week-old. Congratulations. No, he's a good player. I don't know his music very well, but I'm a huge hater. I hate everything, so probably not gonna like it. It's just an unfortunate fact about me, but it's okay. I channel my hate in productive generations. Yeah, so you know what pedal I mean. That's a great pedal. Like, it's like a overdrive with a mid boost. Very nice. I still use it. Dani Markovic should be coming here soon, and we're gonna do a podcast today. We're doing a Jeff Beck cry party. That's gonna be the title of our next thing. Like Beato and these people. This guy I didn't know is dead, and I'm so sad, and I'm getting paid for every iota of my sadness. Do you know Inner Urge? Man, I used to. Right? And then what? See? No. I know those are the fours, and then there's the major sevens that are moving quicker, but I don't remember how they go. Something like that. You don't even know if I'm right. Just every time you move major sevens, like randomly, it all sounds the same. Yeah, tunes like that. It's funny, like in Marbin, I write my own solo sections, and I just never give myself hard homework like that. Like, just to move these Lydian sounds and like these random thirds, and then it's like, at the end, yeah, I did it. But yeah, I don't know. I never really liked playing over shit like that. But yes, I know it. Can you play any of Dog Party by Scott Henderson? need to play the yellow strat more often. Yeah, I really do. I'm gonna set it up different. I have an idea what I'm gonna do with dad's here. Hi, Abba. Play your favorite Steel Panther riff. I honestly don't know any of them. That's not true. I like the one with French fries. Forget what it's called. Um, most underrated guitarist on YouTube. I like that. Hey Gary, how you doing? Beautiful playing, man. Are those sewer bridges extra good with Beck, Henderson, whammy stuff? This is just a Goto bridge. It's just a two-post. Vintage Fender bridges is what I think definitely what Scott Henderson uses. I'm not sure what's in the Jeff Beck thing, but yeah, the two. I think even when you get the vintage bridges, they just unscrew the middle 4 screws from like here, so you just end up pivoting on those two. I think the real trick is just having 2 springs as opposed to 3, to where you get just less tension, and then you can really. Something that's good to practice is controlling, like harmonics and stuff like that. That's very hard to do, to get the 3rd pitch up. And stabilize with your hand. Pretty in tune. Like Tio, Tio, yo. It's hot. But those kind of things. What was your best experience with attending? Listen, I had some beautiful years. I was in my 20s, I was getting wasted and, meeting people, and there's a lot of really good times. The question is, if you could hand me that, fish out the money and have it maybe reinvest in yourself, would that, if you have that kind of budget to invest in yourself, especially if you're taking a loan or something crazy like that, is that the best use for money, especially when you're not even sure what kind of music you want to play? Like for the amount of money it costs, you could literally move in with your idol and study with them all day long. I would bet that for most people in jazz, for a fifth, you could probably live with your idol, basically take lessons every day, all day. So why pay the institution? What is just if you explain to me what you stand to gain, Amazing tone. I just wanted to say thanks, Dani. I think your lessons, band, and channel are awesome. I tune every day to check out your stuff. Thank you. I'm trying to build it, man, and it's definitely a slow growth, but I'm super optimistic. We got Nick over here. Say hi, Nick.
Hello.
Who's just editing the shit out of everything, and I would never be able to do it without Nick. It's just I don't have the patience to sit there and edit, so it's a real collaboration. But yeah, I keep trying to think about things that are not, I try. I'm not a consumer of guitar content because most of these fucking people, it might seem maybe like a little bit not nice to say, maybe a little bit, but they're just bad at guitar and they sound like donkey shit. And then, so I'm not so interested in, their interpretation of Joe Pass or something, because I listen to how they play and they make me want to vomit, which is a real problem. It's a real problem. So you gotta like the person's playing. That was in Berkeley, my first day there, I'll never remember. I was still 17. I was almost 18. And I went to my first lesson, and I told the people that they're like, in my proficiency rating, they're like, what kind of music do you like? And I was like, I like fusion. And they're like, okay, you're going to study with Mark White. And I'm like, all right. I don't never heard of him, but I came from Israel. Like, we have barely any fusion. Like, I'm sure whatever you got's gonna be the greatest fusion I've heard. And I sit down in front of Mark White, and he tells me, "Hey, Danny, can you play me a C major scale?" And I'm like into Sean Lane at that part. I'm like, yeah, just like try to shred C major as fast as I possibly can. And he's like, no, 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 play it legato. And I'm like, I got you. Right? And then he goes, no, no, the Italian legato. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on here? What do you mean? It's just like smoothly connected like this. And he plays me just a C major scale. It's like, can you do that? And I'm like, I think so. And I play it. It's like, very good. And then he's like, let's jam. And he proceeds to like jam with me. And he just sounds so bad. Like he's playing some jazz lines and some bebop stuff with kind of like a shitty, like whatever Fender they give them, the teachers in the room, just like shitty tone, shitty touch. And I'm just thinking, it's like, this is my teacher now for the semester, right? It's like, what am I doing here, right? This guy, I hate how he sounds. I like Alan Holdsworth. I like Scott Henderson. This man, I don't care what kind of handouts are in his little folder that he's like, giving me to work on. It didn't work for him. It sounds like donkey shit. So ever since I was a kid, I've always had this attitude, which I think is a great attitude. If there's no proof in the pudding, the shit doesn't work, right? Like, why would you accept instruction that doesn't work? Why would you accept somebody telling you what to do if they did it and they sound like shit? It just doesn't make any sense. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, have you listened to Andreas Oberg? I have, and I know that he is now a K-pop producer. Do you know that? It's so funny. If for those of you who don't know, he was making himself like a real career. He was like a superstar of gypsy jazz for 5 minutes. Then he went to like a Benson-y kind of way, and he's like this Viking-looking Swedish dude. It's like very handsome. Would wear like cleavage shirts, very tight. I'm not gay, but he was sexy. He was a sexy guitar player, and if I was, he probably wouldn't have me. He'd probably have another Viking-looking dude. All I'm saying is that he's just like this ridiculous guitar shredder guy. But then he took a sobered look around. He's like, I don't want to be in this fucking jazz world. I want to live in Malibu and have 17 girlfriends and no family, and lots of money, which is the new American dream, I guess. So he moved there and he started making K-pop. Yeah. I think your lessons and explanations are some of the best out there. Every lesson is like, well, thank you. I hope it gets to more people at some point, but for now we're happy to serve just you guys. Yeah. But yeah, Andreas. It's a real tragedy that he left real music to make this just retarded garbage. Like, pardon my French, but K-pop. Like, what are you doing, man? But I guess the Swedes have been poisoning the well for like the last 40 years, right? It's like this is. You think that they were at their worst, just pillaging the world in the medieval times, as Vikings, but it's actually the damage they're doing to society and culture has only increased with time. Backstreet Boys, Celine Dion, just pumping out poison. Britney Spears, ABBA was cool, I guess. Ace of Base I can forgive, but like ever since then, it's just poisoning the culture, and they're so proud of it. It's incredible. I grew up on Greg Howe. I really did I like Greg Howe, like the instrumental rock album. How to target arpeggios starting from third, fifth, seventh. Um, okay. So I think when you say how to target arpeggios starting from third, fifth, seventh, I think what you need to realize is that substitutions have a sound, and it's something that needs to be studied case by case based on harmonic function. So let's say I'm in the key of C and I have a 5 chord that's a G7, and I'm playing a Mixolydian sound over that G, and I'm pretty bored with just, playing scalar things, or even adding chromatics to that. It's pretty stepwise motion, and even if I play in thirds, because I'm just locked into this vision of the fretboard that's kind of like close together, I tend to just maybe run sequences of these things. It's tying me to a vision. So something you could do is think about a different arpeggio that lives in the scale. But what you really want to do is create these shelvings in your mind, these drawers, these compartments, to where you can store the sound you're going for and remember it that way. Substitutions are a means to make things simpler, not more complicated, but it is about memorizing a sound. And that's what you want to remember. So when you're learning substitutions, you're trying to memorize how something sounds on a chord. So on that G7, the sound of a B minor 7 flat 5, for instance, which is an arpeggio starting from its third, right? Starting from B, and I'm just building thirds from that B in the scale. So in the scale, meaning in C major or G Mixolydian. So B minor 7 flat 5 gives me the sound of a G7 with a ninth without a G in it, right? It has the third, the fifth, the flatted seventh, and the ninth. But I'm kind of just thinking about this as its own sound. So what are the bits I need to know? Well, I need to know how to arpeggiate that thing on the guitar. So learn that B minor 7 flat 5 in a few positions. Like then I need to learn to apply that to this sound. Now, to apply it, you're going to have to start having a vision of how that arpeggio, how that shape emerges from a way you actually play G, or you're not going to find it, right? So in time, right? 2, and then the 5 chord. Maybe here. Different areas of the neck, you still have to keep seeing that shape, and you need to have shapes of that chord you're playing on that in your mind are connected to how you want to see that arpeggio. Let's see, do you play Telecasters at all? No, and I'm also not married to my cousin. I'm Naba, your friend from India. Hey Naba, shaken. Thank you so much for what you are doing. Is Levin's jazz theory book worth studying for guitarists? You don't need to study any book. You need to study the music you like, and you need to play with people. This is not a field where books are a great resource. I'm sorry to say, most of your heroes are basically illiterate. Love your work, Dani. Thank you. How do you advise people who sound like they are just rambling when they solo develop something interesting to say? Well, I think the first step in that is to realize, in which way you are rambling. So it could be that you're rambling in more than one layer. See, the problem with terrible playing is that the terribleness is everywhere. But the only way to attack it is to peel off a layer. You know, it's kind of like peeling off like a rotten onion. You know, it's like it's rotten here and here and here and here and here and here. And usually it's rotten to the core. But you know, you got to get as deep as you can. You got to keep peeling layers. So, you know, start with what pops up immediately. Like, you know, if your notes are fucked up, that's usually the first thing people fix. You know, like if you're playing over a minor chord, you keep hitting these like major thirds and you know, major sevens on a Dorian sound or something, and they flatted nines, and they keep sounding like you're like in the wrong galaxy of playing. Then yeah, I mean that's probably the first place you want to be like, okay, I'm gonna fix that. But then after you fix that, it's like, well, man, my time sucks. So then maybe you try to get more accurate. And then when you fix your time, it's like, yeah, I'm playing in time, but my choices rhythmically suck. So maybe you want to then, you know, diversify your rhythm. Maybe you don't have the chops to play certain subdivisions. Maybe you want to work on your chops. Maybe you're holding the pick in a way that doesn't allow it. Then you've got to change the way you hold your pick. You know, maybe you're getting a shitty sound. Maybe you're not aware of where you're picking or how you're setting up your gear. So if you, it's, you know what it comes down to? It comes down to caring and having the energy to fix problems. What we do is problem solve over years, and you want to get closer and closer to the real root of the problem. Yeah. What are you plugged into for most videos? It's not my go-to, but it's that Sur Badger right here, and it's going through this Sur IR machine and straight into my computer, and it's not great, but it's not. I mean, I have like a big rig, but it's useless in my studio. It's just 100-watt amp, and it's just way too crazy for here. And I just run through a reverb delay on Pro Tools. A nice reverb. It's a Valhalla reverb, and yeah, it's just the amp gain with no pedals, nothing in front of the amp, just the amp itself. Right now, the gain's sort of maxed out on it, which is really not enough gain for me, honestly. When I'm playing my style, I would need like a pedal too, but it's almost there. That's not bad. Ever use modelers? No. I had an XFX here for a minute because my friend Mason Nangella lent me one to see if we like it. Yeah, I mean, it's modelers are literally for pajamas. And they are excellent for something. Like if you're a TikToker or an Instagrammer, they do make your guitar sound like they shrink it in a way that it fits in the digital world, right? If you're just playing over tracks, your drum machines and YouTube clips, it makes sense because you know you are a part of that realm. These machines are meant to play over drums and real bass and move air in a way that's organic and believable. And you know, I know a lot of people. Gary Kane, who's on this chat, I was shocked. He's an XFX user. Could have fooled me. And you know, I'm not saying that nobody gets a good tone out of modelers and that they don't have their place. I just saying that I personally hate everything about them and would never, ever, because you know, it's yeah, it's just emasculating. Let's see. Have you ever used Boss NS2 noise suppressor? No, I never liked noise suppressors. You know, I just roll off my volume knob when I stop playing, so in between phrases and shit. On my pedal board too, I have like a master volume, like a volume pedal hooked up to my master volume, so if the amp doesn't like, if I need to kill that. But yeah, it's they scoop too much information out of the sound. I don't like it. I think Jans Larson uses an X effect. Well, a lot of people use modelers these days. You're not going. It's not going to be hard to find people who use modelers. Everybody uses modelers. Um, you know, it's a free country. You can do whatever the fuck you want. But I will tell you that it's standing in front of a 100-watt tube amp. Uh, when everything is going well with nice reverb, nice delay, uh, makes you feel invincible. It's just, if you're not gonna have this life is hard enough in music. If you're not gonna maximize the amount of tactile fun it is to play, the time you spend on stage, why the fuck do it? A lot of people like, it's heavy. It's heavy. It's like, dude, like I see it's fucking big dudes, like 25 years old. It's like, it's just, look how compact it is. It's like, motherfucker, like you go to the gym, you lift iron for no reason. Why wouldn't you lift your amp to fucking have it? Makes no sense. Can you fake country style? Let's see. No. Should I learn licks one by one? How to develop scaled sound musical? You should never learn. You should learn licks, but not with the intention of playing them in your solos, if that makes sense. There's nothing wrong with learning anything. There's something wrong with this. You get into this psychological mind space of like, I'm gonna throw this Scott Henderson or Michael Brecker lick in here, and everybody is going to love me. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, you're just gonna be like real anxious about trying to put it in, and then it's not gonna fit with the rest of your playing, and you're just gonna sound dumb, and it will just all be a failure at the end of the day, because nobody can really play like that. You just play the way you play. So you learn from licks. You take licks, you break them apart. You see the harmonic, the rhythmic devices used. Good licks are maybe like a really good thing to juxtapose, against your organic vocabulary that comes from your fingers. Be like, what's the difference between this great Charlie Parker phrase and something that I would do on that? And maybe kind of use that to pull you up a little bit. I like modeling stuff for recording and jamming at home, not live though. I need a real amp. Yeah, dude. Like, it's sort of like fake tits. It's really good for online, for Instagram. Like I don't like, underneath, like with the it looks great. It's great to look at, but it's not what you want to spend your life with. It doesn't squeeze. It doesn't have the same kind of squeeze to it. It doesn't feel the same. You just want those real things. And yeah, when the tubes run out, they get old, they get beat up, they lose their shape, tone gets sloppy, but it's okay because it's your amp. What's the best way to learn right hand picking? Oof, there's so many variations of right hand picking. It's a choose your own adventure, but at the end of the day, you gotta be focused enough in your brain to make good decisions for yourself, in terms of like, who are you trying to be the most like, right? If let's say if you train yourself to hold the pick just like Stevie Ray Vaughan, but in your heart of hearts, Wes Montgomery is your hero, you're never gonna be happy, right? If I, whatever you want to sound like George Benson, you practice Scott Henderson shit, you're not gonna be happy. So I would say that you gotta approximate, and it requires this self knowledge that and awareness that not a lot of people have. I would say that's the biggest thing. It's the closest thing to talent is knowing what you're going for, especially at a young age. And yeah, so for for me, I got really interested in gypsy jazz, so things really had to change. But I would say it's sort of a compromise between getting the sound you want from the instrument, just like acoustically, uh, and and having the motion mechanics that allows you to play the kinds of subdivisions that you would like to play, like Jeff Beck's technique, for instance, mainly playing with his thumb and some index finger for like a little bit like faster things, is all about tone. There's no, like, you could barely play eighth notes, and he can't just, the kind of phrases that he plays, if they were 5 BPMs faster, he wouldn't be able to pull them off. He'd have to play something totally different, So a lot of techniques that are built purely around like the quality of the attack you're getting have the trade-off that you can't do them very quickly. So it's really this game of this trade-off between dexterity and quality, and you got to really be mindful and asking yourself what kind of attack you want and what direction you're setting for yourself. I mean, honestly, like, if the information that I gave you meant that you all become exactly like me, I would probably be a little bit more reserved with it. But the truth is, it's like at the end of the day, we all like slightly different things. And like, if you're serious about this path, you're inevitably going to take some turns that will be very far from what I chose, very far from what anybody chose, if you're going to take it far. So yeah, I would say once you locate the kind of archetype of player that you're trying to emulate, it's about walking in that direction technically in a very methodical way, asking yourself some real questions about motion mechanics, and then knowing at which point you get too close to where you need to stop listening to that guy and go in a different direction, because nobody wants to be an imitator. Let's see. IDGAF, about other modern players. You are the best for. Oh, thank you. I don't. What's IDGAF?
I don't give a fuck.
I don't. Shit, I'm so old. My fucking god.
Is that Dani buzzing?
That's Danny. Yeah, can you open the door for him? All right, Danny's here. We're actually going to start a podcast, everybody, and we're gonna stream it live. This is the first time we're doing a video, full-on podcast. So log back on here in about 15 minutes when we get set up, and we're going to have our Jeff Beck Cry Party podcast. Ready? It's going to be fun. You skipped my questions. You visualize the fretboard as intervals from a root, or are you thinking about note names? Definitely not thinking about note names. It's hard to explain how you visualize the fretboard before you sort of master it, because when you're visualizing the fretboard, you just it's some sort of like connection between seeing the scale shapes and the chords, mostly the chords. So I'm not really thinking about, like, let's say I'm playing a 2-5-1 in C. So in every area, once I play a chord, I know my full set of options over that chord. I can just play lines living in the crevices, right? But I know that that's a G and that's an F, but I just don't think about that in any level. I'm really seeing things. To me, it's like I know what things sound like inside these structures, and I'm just moving them in my mind. So I'm just going like, right? It's almost like the whistling part of my brain turns on, and I can just use these things like the patterns come alive. If the patterns don't become things that you are connected to in the whistling part of your brain, you've practiced wrong. So it's not about thinking about note names or intervals. It's about thinking about the pitches themselves and your right hand to make the rhythms come alive. You're thinking about the music. It's hard. I know that that seems impossible in some stages, but that's the truth of how it is, right? So if I'm playing over that 2-5-1, I can see it nestled in a lot of areas. So that's the idea. All right, we're gonna hop off of this live feed and we're gonna start our live podcast with video very, very soon.